It is often desirable to arrange information in a document into rows and columns. For example, if I were comparing the features and prices of 3 vehicles, I might want to include that information in a table. I have already begun a document and have inserted the line, "The following is a table of information about car purchases." I am going to insert a table below that line with the vehicle information. So I'll click where I would like to insert the table. Then I'll click Insert, and on the ribbon I'll click the small arrow under the word Table. I'll highlight 3 rows and 4 columns. Then I'll click, and you can see that a table has been inserted with room for 3 rows of information and 4 columns of information. To insert the text in the table is very simple. You click in the first cell and type in the name of the car, let's say Toyota Camry. To go to the second cell, or to the cell to the right of the Toyota Camry cell, you simply hit the Tab key. In this cell I'm going to put the price. So I'll put in a $, 25, 3 zeros for $25,000. Then I'll tab over to the third column and I'll type in the color, red. Then I hit the tab again and I'll type in the type of transmission, automatic in this case. I'm now ready to insert the information about the second car, which will go on the second line. If I hit the tab key again, the insertion point is automatically placed in the first column, second row. And I'll go ahead and type in my second car, Subaru Legacy. Again, hit the tab key, type in the price, hit the tab key, put in the color, hit the tab key, and put in the transmission. I'll put automatic for this one as well. I'll hit the tab key again, and now I'm down to the third line for my final car. This time I'll put in Honda Accord. Hit the tab key, put in the price, tab, put in the color, tab, and put in the transmission. In this case, the Honda has a standard transmission. So that is how you enter data into a table. Once a table is created, you can format the table and add and delete rows and columns to the table. For example, if I wanted to add a 4th row, I could click at the end of the 3rd row right after the word standard, hit the tab key, and that will insert a new row. I can delete the row by highlighting the row, right-clicking, and choosing Delete Rows, and it's gone. I can also insert a row at the beginning, and in fact I'd like to do this so that I can put titles for each of the columns. I will highlight row 1, right-click, choose Insert, or run my mouse over Insert, and then to the right I have options, and in this case I want to insert a row above the current row. So this gives me a new row 1, making my table have a total of 4 rows. In this first row I'm going to put the titles for each column so that the table will be more descriptive. So the first column will be Manufacturer, I'll tab. Second column will be Price, tab. Third column, Color, tab. And the fourth column will be the transmission. So now I have identified what each column in the table represents, making it easier to understand. I can also format the table using any one of several predefined formats in Word. First, I will highlight the table. There's a little box in the upper left-hand corner of the table that has a sort of a cross in it with arrows. If I click on that, I'll highlight the table, and then I can click Design under Table Tools, and it will give me several predefined table styles. The first one, for example, is table grid, second one, table grid light, etc. Now watch the table as I run my mouse over each one of these. You'll see that you get a live preview of what it would look like if in fact you were to use that style. I can click the little arrow and get many more styles, and although the screen covers most of the table, if you look to the left, you'll see the effect on the table as I run my mouse over each one of these styles. I'll just go ahead and pick the green style all the way to the right, click it, and you'll see that the table has now been formatted in that style. I'd like to format the table myself as opposed to using a specific style, so I'm going to click undo so that I get the unformatted table back. And instead what I want to do is I want to format that first row. I want to make it bold so it will stand out, so I'll highlight it, click home, click the bold button, and you can see that the column titles are all now bold-faced. Then I would also like to highlight or shade that first row so that it stands out even further. So what I can do is I can click on it. Now that row is not really highlighted, it's highlighted temporarily because I clicked on it. But if I go up to Design and I click the little arrow under Shading and choose one of the shading options, and let's just choose a color so that it stands out. I'll just choose the brown color. Okay, and then I click outside of the row. You can see that that row is boldface and highlighted with the color brown, making it stand out and easier to read. You can also modify the size of rows and columns. For example, if I wanted to make column 1 wider, I would highlight it by moving my mouse over column 1 until it turns into a downward pointing arrow. Click, so now the column is highlighted. Then right click, choose Table Properties, click Column, and now I can increase the width or decrease the width. So let me increase it to 2.5 inches. Click OK, and you can see now that column 1 is wider. I'm going to undo that. Now I'll show you what happens when we make it smaller. So again, column 2 is already highlighted. Right click, choose Table Properties, and let's make it maybe just 0.2 inches. Click OK, and you can see now that one of the cells, Subaru Legacy, is not large enough to hold those two words on one line, so Word will automatically wrap the word Legacy onto a different line. I'm going to undo that. Now let's take a look at how we make a row wider. Let me highlight the Subaru Legacy row, right click, choose Table Properties, click the Row tab, click the Specify Height box, and let's make it maybe 2 inches. We'll make it really big so that you can see the effect. And more. Click OK, and you can now see that that row has become significantly larger. Obviously not what we want, but you get the idea. So I'm going to undo that. Just as we can insert rows and delete rows, we can also insert and delete columns. So for example, if I wanted to insert a column either to the right or to the left of the color column, I would first highlight that column, I would right click, and then I would run my mouse over the insert option, and I can either insert a column to the left or insert a column to the right. So I'll go ahead and choose insert column to the left, and you can now see that I have a new column 3, and the color column has now become column 4. To delete a column, I can highlight the column, right click, and choose Delete Column. I can delete part or all of the contents of a table. For example, if I highlight the Toyota Camry row and hit delete, the contents of that row is gone. I'll undo that. I can do the same thing for a column. If I were to highlight column the transmission column and hit delete, and the contents of that column is gone. I can also delete the contents of a cell. For example, if I highlight the word blue and I hit delete, the contents of that cell only is gone. I'll undo that. And finally, I can delete an entire table. First, I have to click on the little square in the upper left part of the table. Then I right click and I choose delete table, and the entire table is gone.